January 30th, 1945. Philippines. Cabanatuan POW camp. 511 American prisoners of war are about to die. They survived the Bataan Death March. They survived 3 years of torture, starvation, and disease in Japanese prison camps. But now, with American forces closing in, Japanese commanders have received orders: kill all prisoners before liberation. The execution is scheduled for tomorrow. 30 miles away, 121 U.S. Army Rangers prepare for what everyone calls a suicide mission. March 30 miles behind enemy lines. Attack a fortified camp surrounded by 8,000 Japanese soldiers. Rescue 500 prisoners who can barely walk. The odds are insane. The plan is crazy. Military doctrine says you need a 3-to-1 advantage to attack a fortified position. The Rangers will be outnumbered 70-1, but Lieutenant Colonel Henry Mucci has one trick the Japanese won't see coming. One stupid advantage that will turn the entire battle into psychological warfare. What happens next? 511 POWs rescued. Only 2 American casualties. The largest and most successful POW rescue in U.S. military history. All because 121 Rangers made 8,000 Japanese soldiers believe they were fighting an entire division. Cabanatuan prison camp holds the survivors of America's worst defeat in World War II. When the Philippines fell in 1942, 76,000 American and Filipino troops surrendered to Japan. The Japanese forced them on the Bataan Death March. 65 miles on foot, no food, no water, bayoneted if they fell. 10,000 died on the march alone. The survivors ended up at camps like Cabanatuan. For 3 years, they've endured starvation rations, tropical disease, torture, and executions. The camp's cemetery holds over 2,600 graves. By January 1945, the camp population has dwindled to 511 prisoners. Most weigh less than 100 pounds. Malaria, dysentery, beriberi. They're so weak they can barely stand. But these men aren't just soldiers anymore. They're witnesses. They saw the Bataan Death March. They saw Japanese war crimes. The Japanese can't let them testify. American intelligence intercepts orders. As U.S. forces approach, execute all prisoners, burn the evidence, leave no witnesses. General Douglas MacArthur receives the intelligence. He's already failed these men once when he evacuated to Australia and left them to be captured. He won't fail them again. He calls for volunteers for a mission everyone knows is suicide. March behind enemy lines, attack a fortified camp, bring the prisoners home. The 6th Ranger Battalion steps forward. All of them. They have 4 days to plan the impossible. Lieutenant Colonel Henry Mucci commands the 6th Ranger Battalion. He's not Special Forces. He's not airborne. He's just an infantry officer who trained his men hard and expects them to do the impossible. His second in command, Captain Robert Prince, is a 26-year-old Stanford graduate who planned the raid. On paper, it looks insane. The numbers are brutal. Cabanatuan camp sits in flat terrain with little cover. It's guarded by 220 Japanese soldiers inside the compound and surrounded by 8,000 more Japanese troops in nearby villages and camps. The Rangers number 121 men. They'll have help from 250 Filipino guerrillas for security, but the actual assault force is tiny. Standard military doctrine. You need a 3-to-1 advantage to attack a fortified position. The Rangers are outnumbered 70-1, counting all nearby Japanese forces. This is where Captain Prince's crazy idea comes in. Don't fight all 8,000 Japanese. Make them think fighting you is suicide. The plan: time the attack for exactly 7:30 p.m. Right when the Japanese guards change shifts and are distracted. Hit hard and fast with overwhelming firepower concentrated on the guard towers and gates. Create so much noise and destruction in the first 60 seconds that Japanese reinforcements think they're attacking into a major American force. Then extract before they figure out it's only 121 men. It's not about winning a battle. It's about winning 60 minutes of shock and confusion, making the enemy hesitate just long enough to get 500 sick, starving prisoners across a mile of open ground to safety. The Rangers study aerial photos, rehearse on mock-ups. Every man knows his role. They have one shot at this. If it works, they'll save 500 lives. If it fails, they all die. January 28, 1945. The Rangers begin their infiltration. They move at night through 30 miles of Japanese-occupied territory. Filipino guerrillas guide them, hide them during the day, bring intelligence about Japanese troop movements. The guerrillas report 8,000 Japanese soldiers in the area, a tank unit, artillery, infantry battalions. The Rangers are walking through an entire Japanese division's area of operations. One wrong move, one scout spotting them, and they're dead. Captain Prince studies the aerial reconnaissance photos obsessively. The camp layout, guard tower positions, the bridge the prisoners will need to cross. Timing is everything. They decide on a P-61 Black Widow night fighter as their secret weapon, not to bomb the camp. That would kill prisoners, but to create a distraction. The plan: at exactly 7:29 p.m., the Black Widow will buzz the camp at treetop level. The Japanese guards will watch the plane. For exactly 60 seconds, their attention will be up, not on the perimeter. That's when the Rangers attack. January 30th. The Rangers reach their final assembly area 1 mile from the camp. It's late afternoon. They're exhausted from the 30-mile march. Now they wait for darkness. Filipino guerrillas take up blocking positions on the roads. Their job: delay Japanese reinforcements. They're armed with old rifles against tanks and artillery, but they'll buy the Rangers the time they need. As the sun sets, the Rangers check their weapons one last time. M1 Garands, BRs, bazookas for the guard towers. Everyone carries extra ammunition. They won't get a resupply. 7 o'clock p.m. They begin crawling across open ground toward the camp. It takes them 25 minutes to cover 800 yards without being detected. 7:25 p.m. In position. The Black Widow is inbound. 4 minutes until H hour. 4 minutes until they find out if this crazy plan works or gets them all killed. 7:29 p.m. The Black Widow roars over the camp at 200 feet. Every Japanese guard looks up. Rifles track the plane. For 60 seconds, no one is watching the perimeter. 7:30 p.m. Exactly. Captain Prince blows his whistle. The Rangers open fire. Bazookas hit the guard towers. The structures explode in flame. Bars rake the guard quarters. M1 Garands crack in disciplined volleys. In the first 15 seconds, most of the Japanese guards are dead or wounded. The noise is incredible, deliberate. The Rangers fire twice as much ammunition as tactically necessary. They want every Japanese soldier within 5 miles to hear this and think a major American force is attacking. Lieutenant John Murphy leads his platoon straight through the front gate. He shoots the lock off the main prison building. Inside, prisoners stare in disbelief. "We're American soldiers," Murphy shouts. "We're here to get you out. Can you walk?" Most of them can barely stand. 3 years of starvation, disease. Some haven't walked more than a few yards in months. "We'll carry you then, but we're leaving now." The Rangers weren't trained as medics, but now they're combat medics, psychological counselors, and stretcher bearers. They help prisoners to their feet. Some Rangers carry 2 prisoners on their backs. Meanwhile, the firefight continues. Japanese soldiers in the camp are fighting back, but they're disoriented, leaderless. The initial assault killed most of their officers. Outside the camp, Filipino guerrillas engage Japanese reinforcements. Machine gun fire echoes from the roads. Grenades explode. The Japanese think they're attacking into a major force. They hesitate, call for their own reinforcements, waste precious minutes trying to assess the situation. Inside the camp, every Ranger becomes a shepherd. 511 prisoners to extract. Some are unconscious and must be carried. Some are delirious with fever. The Rangers don't leave anyone. They organize a ragged column. Rangers on the flanks, prisoners in the middle. The strongest prisoners help the weakest. Everyone moves toward the rendezvous point a mile away. Japanese bullets crack overhead. Mortar rounds start falling, but the column keeps moving. The Filipino guerrillas hold their blocking positions. Outnumbered 20-1, they keep Japanese tanks and infantry at bay. Some guerrilla positions get overrun. Those men die buying minutes for the prisoners to escape. The Rangers reach the Cebu River. 50 Filipino Carabao carts wait on the other side. The prisoners who can't walk are loaded onto the carts. The column keeps moving. Behind them, the camp burns. The Japanese are still trying to figure out how many Americans attacked. Their confusion buys the Rangers the time they need. By 8:30 p.m., 1 hour after the attack began, the last prisoner crosses to safety. The Japanese reinforcements finally punch through the guerrilla positions and reach the camp. They find it empty, except for their own dead. Over 200 Japanese casualties. The Americans and prisoners are already 2 miles away, moving through the darkness toward American lines. The march back to American lines takes 2 days. 511 prisoners extracted, every single one. The Rangers didn't leave anyone behind. American casualties: 2 Rangers killed in action, 21 Filipino guerrillas killed holding the blocking positions, minimal wounded. Japanese casualties: over 200 killed in the camp assault and the guerrilla fighting. The entire camp garrison destroyed. But the real victory is what the numbers represent. Those 511 prisoners are survivors of the Bataan Death March. They're witnesses to 3 years of Japanese war crimes. They're men who were supposed to die in that camp. Many are so weak they would have died within days, even without execution orders. The rescue saves them just in time. Within a week, they're receiving proper medical treatment at American field hospitals. The raid achieves something the Japanese thought impossible: a large-scale POW rescue behind enemy lines. In all of World War II, no one else successfully extracted hundreds of prisoners from a fortified enemy camp. The psychological impact is massive. American morale soars. The message is clear: we don't leave our people behind, even if it means marching 30 miles into enemy territory, even if we're outnumbered 70-1. For the Japanese, it's a disaster. They thought Cabanatuan was secure. They had 8,000 troops in the area. It didn't matter. The Americans hit so hard and fast, created so much confusion, that Japanese reinforcements hesitated long enough for the entire raid to succeed. The raid proves a principle that will become doctrine. Superior firepower and surprise can overcome massive numerical superiority if you concentrate force at the decisive point and move faster than the enemy can react. 121 Rangers made 8,000 Japanese soldiers believe they were attacking into certain death. The trick worked perfectly. The Great Raid, as it becomes known, is the largest and most successful POW rescue in American military history. Lieutenant Colonel Mucci receives the Distinguished Service Cross. Captain Prince receives the same. Many Rangers receive silver stars. The Filipino guerrillas who died holding those blocking positions are honored as heroes. But the real legacy is the prisoners. 511 men who survived the Bataan Death March, survived 3 years in hell, now get to go home. They testify at war crimes trials. They reunite with families who thought they were dead. They live lives the Japanese tried to erase. The raid changes American military doctrine. Before Cabanatuan, large-scale POW rescues were considered nearly impossible. After Cabanatuan, they become standard planning for future conflicts. Special operations forces study the raid for decades. The key lessons: speed and violence of action can overcome numerical inferiority. Deception and psychological warfare are force multipliers. A small, well-trained unit with a clear mission can achieve what a large force cannot. Most importantly, never leave your people behind, no matter the odds. The Great Raid proves that sometimes the crazy mission, the impossible plan, the stupid idea of attacking when outnumbered 70-1 is exactly what needs to happen. 121 Rangers walked 30 miles behind enemy lines, attacked a fortified camp surrounded by 8,000 enemy soldiers, and brought every single prisoner home. All because they understood that wars aren't just won with numbers. They're won with courage, planning, and the willingness to attempt the impossible when it's the right thing to do.